On.
On?
On.
Okay, good evening. Late night from Willowdale and from Don Mills. My buddy Chris, we've always wanted to do a YouTube video together because we used to do a show on CIUT, the University of Toronto radio station, for 10 years during the 90s. And we always wanted to do a joint YouTube video. It's late night from Willowdale, but it could be late night from Don Mills because Chris is originally from Don Mills and, of course, I'm from Willowdale. So it's...
That's from, what, 93?
I've known Chris since 1993. He came. It was during the Chrétien.
I think it was Mulrooney.
Well, no, Mulrooney had resigned and Kim Campbell had taken over. It was that election, October election, where the Conservatives were devastated. Yeah. And Chris called up CIUT and said, "Hey, I don't know what to make of this election." So I said, so many people don't. So come on our radio show, and he did. And the rest is history. I went to Amsterdam for a wedding, and he took my place. And when I came back, he was a regular part of the show. So the rest is history.
No training at all.
No training. Just get on the radio, just like these YouTube videos. Just get on the radio and talk. So, but anyways, we're not going to go into the history of CIUT and our relationship. We always want to do a YouTube video together, and he popped into Woody's tonight out of the blue. Hadn't seen him in 4 years, and I said, "Clayton, are thinking of doing a YouTube video, a quick one. Won't be that quick tonight on Trudeau's hilarious trip to India, as well as gun control. But I don't want to spend a lot of time on that.
Well, we're keeping it to 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, we want to keep it to 10. We really wanted to keep the videos shorter, but
okay.
Well, we have an hour to go, so.
Yeah, well, we're not going to do an hour because people won't listen to it.
I'm just saying that's what's available.
And of course, we got Clete behind the camera. So
what about Trudeau and?
Yeah, so I love this dress to excess and Trudeau's trip to India. I think I just want to say, Chris, thank you, India, for ending the second coming of Trudeau mania. This bungled, stupid trip to India, which has gotten lots of negative press, and I'm not worried about the Indian garb and the costumes. That's all kind of harmless. I just think the thing was bungled, and
a convicted terrorist.
Yeah, the convicted terrorist, the guy.
India is just as much to blame for giving him the visa to enter the country in the first place.
Well, yeah, so India's to blame too, and I don't know why India really the tried to snub him, and Modi tried to snub him. I mean, Modi's not the nicest person either. He's a racist, and he's part of a political party in India that's doesn't really like Muslims, and certainly doesn't really like Sikhs, the Hindu nationalist party. He's like Modi's sort of like Trump. He's India's Trump.
Trump of India.
They didn't really have to embarrass Justin Bieber Trudeau, but they did. The whole thing was the whole trip was mishandled. You kind of wonder what they were thinking in the Prime Minister's office. But, I got to say, the great thing about the whole thing is it's brought Trudeau down. It's chastened him and brought him down to human level again. He's the international superstar that hangs out with Obama and hangs out with Prince Harry and goes to, has this great speech at the University of Chicago, and the students love him. He hangs out with Jeff Bezos and
Ivanka Trump,
and everyone loves him. Finally, people are getting tired of him. Getting tired of the Trudeau brand. The second coming of Trudeau mania is dead. I think this trip to India has ended it, and I think, thank you, India, for doing that. Trudeau's got to get back to work. He's got to stay in Canada, deal with the pipeline issues, the Indigenous issues, which were simmering while he was gone. He's got to deal with the economy, and certainly has to deal with nasty trade issues, NAFTA, and whatever else is coming up. And he's got to spend some time in Ottawa. And I know he doesn't really want to spend time in Ottawa in a Canadian winter. But, hey, we all live here. Canadian Tire says, right, we all play for Canada. Well, we all live in Canada. So, sorry, Justin. Come back to Canada. Go to work for the Canadian people. And don't get me wrong, foreign travel is part of the job, right? He's a good salesperson for Canada. I get it. But now it's time. And I think India, that debacle in India, brought him home, brought him down to human size. He's no longer the international superstar. He's more of an international embarrassment. And thank you.
Well, his son got to see the Taj Mahal.
Well, yeah, nothing wrong with him seeing the Taj. I've seen the Taj Mahal. Like, there's a picture there, me in front of the Taj Mahal. I think it's great, and the Indian-Canadian relationship is going to survive this whole bullshit. But yeah, I mean, but the bottom line and what I'm trying to say is, Justin Trudeau needed to be brought down to a human level, and if India did that, they always say India screws up people. No, it screwed me up. So, India screws people up, and it screwed up Justin Trudeau. So his dad, I remember, there's a famous picture of his dad. He wanted to emulate his dad, right? Famous picture of his dad smoking a bong in India. But that was the 60s, and it was the... Anyways, you like Justin Trudeau. I'm
It's okay. Yeah, it's not the person, it's the policy.
Yeah, and the policies are weak. He has great ideas on Indigenous issues, great ideas on all sorts of things. But he's weak. This pipeline issue between Alberta and British Columbia should never have been allowed to simmer. He's the federal guy. You go in there and you resolve it.
Well, I think he's letting he's letting the provinces duke it out, even though it is a federal matter. But I think he's giving the provinces a chance to put their best case forward. I think it's kind of funny. Banning BC wines in Alberta.
But if you're an Albertan and your economy depends on oil, and we are one country, I mean, this is one country, right, from sea to sea. Come on, this is stupid. I'm sure.
But the people in BC have a point, though, as far as spoiling the chance of a spill, and...
Well, yeah, and you spend a lot of time in Vancouver, so you get it. And I've spent time on the West Coast. Yeah, these waters are pristine. But you still have to... Unfortunately, we have to eat. We still need the economy to function. And oil is still part of our economy. It'll be less of our economy in years to come, but it still is, so... I don't know. Trudeau should have been resolving that. You and I probably have a different view on the pipelines. I know you spent a lot of time in British Columbia, but one expansion of one pipeline that already has a right of way, I didn't see that was a big issue, frankly. You thought it was an issue?
It's only a matter of time before there's a spill, I think.
Well, it is what it is. Like you try to prevent it, and I agree with you, but...
Well, the Transportation Safety Board basically reported more oil leakages from pipelines this year, right? But it's from exposed pipes, basically.
Absolutely, there are problems with pipelines.
It went from 0 to 5, basically.
But do you want all this crap transported on trains and in trucks? We know how dangerous that is. So, we're not talking tons of pipeline expansion in Canada, okay? We're talking the Keystone going south to the U.S. We're talking the Kinder Morgan, Trans Mountain, going to British Columbia. So, anyways,
okay,
let's go to another issue because I know that's an issue. Right. So I said I think if all we have to worry about in Canada is Trudeau's silly trip to India, then we're in pretty good shape. So because look at south of the border with all the violence and chaos going on south of there. Now Donald Trump wants to arm teachers. There's no end to the nuttiness that goes on south of the border. And I think the student protests are fantastic. I hope they really carry weight. They got a lot of people in Hollywood. They got a lot of people behind them. But look at.
I think it might be a Me Too moment for gun control.
It might.
I have the feeling that these students, this groundswell might actually make a difference this time.
I hope to
say Sandy Hook didn't, but this.
Yeah,
does, so.
I've shown these headlines on our YouTube channel before. Okay, this is Newtown. In 2012, 20 children were killed. Newtown, 2012 in Connecticut, 20 children killed. Nothing happened. There's Florida last week. I don't think much is going to happen, but you're right. Something is happening. We'll see where it goes. Since Newtown, since Sandy Hook, this is the New York Times last week, since Sandy Hook, more than 400 people have been shot in 200 school shootings in the United States. So since 2012, more than 400 people have been shot in 200 school shootings in the United States. 138 of them were killed. That's incredible. You know how many school shootings we've had in Canada? Since the 1850s? Less than 10. So, really. Oh yeah, and of course, Vegas. Remember, Vegas? What happens in Vegas?
Oh, right, Orlando,
right?
right?
Vegas, right? What happens in Vegas doesn't always stay in Vegas. You know, like the statistics are overwhelming. The U.S. has 10 times more gun violence than any other. Put that light up again.
Yeah, Andrew's literally chewing the scenery.
Yeah. Anyways,
So what do you think about the proposal for teachers to carry concealed weapons in schools?
it's so nutty. It's beyond the pale. So they're turning schools into armed camps, and that's Trump's solution.
Teachers want to just teach. They don't want to have.
Yeah, they don't have to carry guns and.
And
Trump,
what good is a handgun going to do against an AR-15? That's ridiculous.
Exactly. The problem is no one should have access to that kind of weaponry. You can only do so many videos and letters to the editor and all this about gun control. The United States is a country soaked in violence. It was born into violence. It had this massive civil war. It's a country that's perpetuated violence internally, perpetuated violence overseas.
It's a war culture.
It's a war culture, and I don't think anything's going to happen. These students, good for them. I don't think anything's going to happen. The American Congress, state legislators, they've all been bought off by the NRA. They're soaked in blood, these guys, and I don't think anything is going to happen. Don't get me wrong. I think these students are great. Hey, I could be wrong. But Donald Trump, the president of the United States, talking about arming teachers and
the NRA wants nothing more than to every citizen to be armed.
Exactly.
That's the direction.
That's the direction. Every kid, every teacher, everybody needs to be armed.
From kindergarten to
Open warfare.
Then you have an arms race. You have an internal arms race. That's all that's going to happen. That's the logical conclusion.
You're not going to have serious gun control in the United States, in my opinion. It's a country of this is. The Second Amendment, as we all know, 1791, a joke. It was about militias trying to, ward off a potential invasion of the Brits.
Muskets.
Yeah.
It takes about a minute to the powder, the shot, the wad.
And the funny thing about the Americans, they don't want to change. How many times has Canada changed their constitution, right? We've changed it. We've done different.
The Second Amendment is an amendment that's not part of the original.
Right. So change it again. The Constitution is not a thing brought down by Moses, right? It's not brought down in a tablet.
There's been amendments through over time.
Many countries change their constitutions. Why can't the United States change this constitution?
How many amendments are there?
13? Oh God, I don't know.
13.
I'm
I'm
not a constitution.
16.
16? Okay.
I think so.
17th Amendment. Then.
Oh, okay, I don't know. Sorry.
I thought the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness would pardon the phrase, trump the Second Amendment to bear arms, but I guess it doesn't.
No. So
it's an industry lobby. It's a gun manufacturer's lobby.
It's an industry lobby. It's like talk about the military-industrial complex. They have an internal military-industrial complex.
3% of the population, the U.S. has, I think it's 44% of the world's weapons.
Yeah, the United States actually owns. U.S. citizens own half of all the civilian weapons in the planet Earth. Half. Defend against whom? It's hard to, the statistics are amazing. 10 times more gun violence than any other Western country. Japan has 2 murders a year. You know what I mean? It's a country of 150, 70.
It's not a mental illness problem.
No. The U.S. has the mental illness problems in the U.S. are no different than any other Western country.
Any other country, yeah.
The statistics are so overwhelming. It's gun culture, it's gun nuttiness, and it's access to guns.
The problem is the easy access to and the availability of guns. That's
exactly
all it is.
If they don't want to change it, why as a Canadian should I care? And why should our prime minister send out, notes? And I saw the Australian Prime Minister today. It's so funny because Malcolm Turnbull is a real creepoid. But when it came to gun control, I mean, he was so sucking up to Donald Trump. Trump is the greatest thing since sliced bread. They all suck up to Trump, right? I got to hand it to Trudeau. When he's in the Oval Office, he trying to keep his he knows that doesn't play well, Canada. But the Australian Prime Minister, he was so sucking up to Trump, it was embarrassing. But when it came to gun control, he said Australia experienced a mass shooting in Tasmania, 95, 96. and we brought in strict gun control, and we haven't had it since. And he didn't want to get into the American debate, but he's had enough, right? And the American reporters picked up on that.
Tasmania is not even part of the Australian continent.
No,
It's an island.
It's an island. Hobart. It happened in Hobart, but it's part of Australia.
Yeah.
But same, any country, Dunblane in Scotland, Brits brought in stricter gun control, which is already pretty strict. And after what happened in Montreal in 1989, it reached Cole Polytechnique, Canada brought in stricter gun control. So, but...
And Harper tried to eviscerate the gun registry.
Yeah, exactly, which is a great idea. The cops like the gun registry. Anyways, we could go on and on. You saw the statistics before everything collapsed here, but it's going to go on. More mass shootings. The students are doing a great job, and I don't see it stopping.
What do you guys think about the violence creating violence whole theory of gun shootings?
What, like a contagion effect?
Yeah.
Yeah, it exists for suicide. Like, that's why you never hear about TTC suicides.
Well, yeah, I mean,
It's
you
like
don't
2 a
want...
month.
At least, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
Yeah, some people do it to be famous, or that's a problem.
violence. Look, obviously, I can understand some people talking about violence in Hollywood and violence. There's the most popular shows on television are police dramas and violence. It's all about violence. Like you watch Criminal Minds and
Where would Hollywood be if they took out all the guns?
exactly. It's all
There'd be
it's right.
there'd be
And the
very
shows,
little left.
the shows I like most on TV are like the ones on the W channel, which are so silly and stupid, like The Good Witch, but they're not about violence. It's just about human life, and most of them are actually filmed here in Southern Ontario. But they're not about violence. Most U.S. shows are about violence, and they're cop shows. They're shows about the CIA. Or, you think about them, right? Designated Survivor. I could go on, right? CSO.
Are you trying to draw a line between that and actual
Well, no, but
acting out?
I'm not going to be a crazy go after Hollywood, but
It's the video games.
or the video games or any of that. But you got to wonder sometimes, like, it's a society that constantly celebrates violence.
It is a warlike culture.
Yeah, and tell me wrong, I'm not into banning whatever Hollywood does, but sometimes it is nice to see a movie or see a TV show that it doesn't deal with violence and cop dramas and all that. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a crazy sort of anti-Hollywood type or like that. No. So, anyways, we've kind of beaten this down.
15 minutes.
We got 15 minutes and there's probably lots more to talk about. Patrick Brown, crazy conservative race. You're right. You made a good point about Patrick Brown.
He's going to ruin the
I
PC
think
party,
Patrick
I tell you.
Brown could be the de facto poster boy for the Me Too backlash. Or the backlash to the Me Too.
There might be a backlash, but I think he's distracting from the party elites, right? Like I think he's kind of distracting a little bit from a solid party. Like he's kind of creating this kind of like weird extracurricular kind of understanding of what PCs are, like especially if the Me Too thing gets involved. Like it's kind of like this.
But Chris is right. His support for Patrick Brown is sort of a Me Too backlash. Because nothing's been proven.
Yeah, exactly.
And
careers are ruined.
Careers are ruined,
on what the say-so of an anonymous tip.
Exactly.
But
it'll be interesting to see where that goes.
Not to invalidate the problem, then there is a problem. It's got to be clear now.
Absolutely, but that's interesting. No one ever talks about it, but it is a backlash towards Me Tooism, and we'll see where it goes.
Steve Paikin is.
Yeah, Steve Bacon. It's
Steve
one.
Bacon
They
is
drop
another one. Like,
They drop one after another. Anyways, I think the provincial election will be interesting. Kathleen Wynne doesn't have a buy on this by any means because whoever they elect, there's so much hatred towards the Liberals.
we could see an election with a provincial election with
Three women. Yeah, absolutely.
I wonder if that would be a first.
That would be. I think that would be a first. I don't know if that's a first in Canadian history in terms of provinces. I'm not sure, but I think that's gonna. I actually do think that's gonna happen. It'll be either Elliott or Mulroney.
Yeah, I think Elliott may win.
I don't think Mulroney will win. She's seen.
I hope Ford is out on the first ballot.
Yeah, Ford will be out. Yeah, he's got the same kind of supporters as Patrick Brown though. So.
But he doesn't even have a policy. He's
Yeah,
still
yeah.
well. We'll kind of we'll cross
that's
that bridge when we get. He doesn't really have a platform or policies, but
Patrick Brown is the one guy who's policy versed. He's read all the. He's got issues. He's got policies. So we'll see. I think with the Wynne Liberals, yeah, in many ways they don't deserve to win re-election because they've been there way too long. 2003, right?
I like Kathleen Wynne. I think she's
But
awesome.
I'm saying that I like Kathleen Wynne.
But again, it's not about the person; it's the policy.
No,
why do
true.
we always go back to the person? Who cares about the?
Well, the
person?
gay thing on Kathleen Wynne's side, like that's what really sways me. Like the whole, and I know we live in Canada, and the gay thing is it's such a dead issue, but I really do think there's something there with her being a lesbian.
That sounds like identity politics.
Identity does exist, but I think when it comes to furtherance of sex ed and like things that kids should be learning, I think she has something. She's on to something.
Patrick Brown was for it.
Oh well, there was some flip flopping, right?
Depending on the way the wind.
Look.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up that you like her because I like her too, and I'm going to vote for the Liberals because of Kathleen Wynne. You generally vote for a party sometimes because you like the leader. Bob Rae brought the NDP into power in 1990. Okay, he single-handedly brought the NDP into power in 1990 in Ontario because people liked him, trusted him. He had a sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
Leaders matter. Okay,
They
Kathleen
shouldn't,
Wynne.
but they do.
They shouldn't.
but
They
do.
shouldn't. But they do. That's true. And Justin Trudeau has gone into way beyond the whole thing. He's gone. He loves his status, and you're right. And that's way too much. Kathleen Wynne, though, Tom Walkham had a piece in the Star after she was reelected, after she won the surprise majority, and he said, nice works. She comes across as a nice woman, a nice person. Not what? It's just a nice person. And nice works.
Kathleen Wynne.
Yeah, Kathleen Wynne. She comes across as a nice person, and that works for people. She's and that'll work for her again. And after Patrick Brown's problems the night before on Thursday morning, she had a news conference at Queen's Park. She spoke without notes, and she spoke not about his problems, and she spoke about sexual harassment of women in politics. She gave a very philosophical speech.
She's playing the Me Too card.
Yeah, but it wasn't in your face. Yeah, it wasn't raw. It wasn't, and she just spoke about, and people said, that's why a lot of people like Kathleen Wynne. And Andrea Horwath came on and gave a very political speech. The Liberals and the Tories are nasty, blah blah this, and this is why people hate the NDP because they don't understand the moment. They don't understand the moment. It's all about politics, and that's why Andrea Horwath is not going to go anywhere.
I wouldn't mind seeing free dental care.
Yeah. Oh no, and I think Kathleen Wynne should
prescription medicine.
Right. Pharmacare was good, what she did incrementally, but yeah, no question, pharmacare should be available for all.
But the NDP is proposing extending that to people over 24 years of age.
25, yeah. No, and that's a good policy.
And dental care. Why isn't dental covered under OHIP?
Absolutely, dental care. I mean, this is absolutely.
Blows my mind.
Yeah.
Well, I know why, but that's too.
Yeah, I know because the lobby, the dentist lobby. Oh my God.
No, it's historical reasons, parochial mostly.
Yeah. I'm going to say this, and we got to end this video because it's getting on too long. But the Liberals have done some good things, and I've kept the sex ed program. They updated it against all opposition from the Conservatives, the religious lobbies. She brought in a $15 minimum wage. And look at the controversy over that. We know that with Tim Hortons. She took on Tim Hortons. That'll play well. Mm-hmm. She also has attracted a lot of artificial intelligence companies to Toronto. Remember Mars, the big boondoggle? Now it's a success story. Everybody's there. Facebook, the Vector Institute, AI. Toronto's an AI hub, one of the biggest in the world. That's the Liberal policies. So she's done some good things. She has something to run on.
But the Conservatives are going to use ad hominem attacks.
Oh, of course. They're going to use anger and resentment. That always works. And the NDP uses that too.
Fear, hate, and punishment.
Fear, hate, punishment. You play to people's anger, you play to their resentments, and you get elected. That's what Donald Trump did.
It's basically like wrestling on TV. You ever watch wrestling?
Exactly.
That's all. If you look at wrestling, you'll understand Trump.
Hillary Clinton. A lot of people watch these videos hate Hillary Clinton, but her message was weak. Okay, her message was weak. The Democrats didn't have a real serious message. Bernie Sanders' message was false. the New Jerusalem. I'm sorry, there is no New Jerusalem. Automation has taken way more jobs away from Americans than trade. Trade has taken 13%.
17% of job losses are actually due to jobs going elsewhere. The rest is actually automation.
Automation has taken so many jobs away, but it's all, Trump and Bernie Sanders, it's all trade, right? It's all crap.
You can't automate.
The world's moving forward,
yeah.
and there was
But
an
you can
article.
blame it on Chinese and Mexicans.
You blame it on
You
foreigners.
can blame it on aliens if you want. If people
Blame it on
believe they'll
aliens.
believe it.
Blame it on Mexicans. Blame it on Chinese. That works.
Yeah.
That gets you elected. But blame it on robots? No, that doesn't get you elected. Blame it on Star Wars? That doesn't get you
No,
elected.
you can't get angry at them.
The New York Times had a thing about that the other day. How are populists going to deal with robots? You can't. It's easier to go after the Chinese and the Mexicans than it is to go after robots. You know what I mean?
They said that?
Exactly, yeah. So, anyways, we got to end this video. But Kathleen Wynne, the reason why people hate her because she's a woman, okay?
Yeah,
and they
misogyny.
hated Hillary Clinton because she was a
Misogyny.
woman, okay? And I'm sorry, misogyny, as much as a lot of
plays
people,
a big part.
it plays a big part. And Kathleen Wynne, thank God for Ontarians for being so open-minded. They elected a gay woman as premier, and thank you for Ontario for doing that. But the U.S. is not as open-minded. And not that Hillary Clinton was gay, but she was a woman, and she was a strong woman, and they hated that. And that's the thing Kathleen Wynne goes up against. And we got to end this video, and there's so much to talk about. But we're going to end this. But you got to come back and
we'll
do
do
another
it again.
video. Yeah,
We'll do
because
it
most
again.
people have tuned out by now. But that's our YouTube video with Chris. We always want to do one with Chris.
Yeah.
Okay.